Hey everybody, and welcome to our YouTube Live. This is going to be an exciting episode because we have some really cool things to announce later on. But first I want you guys to post your questions. We've been getting a ton of questions on YouTube, and we thought, you know what, let's just do a dedicated YouTube Live where we can spend some time with you guys and go through many of the common questions that you're asking.
This year for 2018, we held kind of a fun contest. We have asked you to comment on our videos, and every comment on a video is an entry into a drawing to win 2 days where Jim and I will come work with you on your website. Today, in just a few minutes, we will be announcing the winner. My wife randomly selected the winner. I set up like a spreadsheet to randomize, which video we were going to pick, which comment we were going to pick. I don't know who's in here. I haven't seen it yet. And I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Really excited to figure out which of you is gonna win.
So that was just anybody who commented on any of our YouTube videos in all of 2018. You were just automatically entered. So you're maybe entered without even knowing that you were.
So that's what's that's what's going to be happening in just a few minutes here. Between now and then, we want to spend some time answering questions. So again, fire away with your questions for us, and we'll get them answered.
Okay, the first question is from Swati Ori, who says, "Hi, Jim and Ricky." Hi, Swati. What do you guys think about the self-development and inspirational niche? It's very competitive, and they're wondering if it's okay. Okay, this is a good question because we get this a lot, not necessarily with self-development specifically, but just this type of thing, like relationship advice, career advice. A lot of things kind of fit in that genre where I always get really nervous when we're selling advice instead of information, because advice is really hard to rank for. So if you are searching something like tips on public speaking, just that advice portion is usually a lot harder than something like does Toastmasters have a program in Maine? Like that, where you're having information, it's easier to rank on Google than just advice or relationship advice, parenting advice, things like that. It's just a lot harder to rank.
I would totally agree with that. Most bloggers, this is what you're used to reading, right? When you think of a blogger, you're like, well, a person's sharing their advice, their tips, whatever, for the genre, for the industry, for the niche. And so this is the first place a lot of people go, is they share advice. I would steer away from advice pretty much always, except for maybe within a niche where you're sharing a lot of information, putting in some of your advice or putting in some of your opinion here and there. I mean, absolutely. When you review a product, part of what you're sharing is your opinion. But if the entire website is built around advice and opinion type content, then it's going to be really, really tough to get organic traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, we got another question from MyDance44. Says his rankings have suddenly dropped. What should he do? We have a video coming out that's totally dedicated to just this question. But I guess the one thing that I want to just mention here is usually when people say that my rankings have dropped, I got a Google penalty, that's usually not the case. If you haven't been notified in your Webmaster Central, there are a lot of things that can cause a drop in that traffic. And usually when we dig into it, we say, yeah, it actually wasn't at all an algorithm penalty. Usually it means that something weird happened, like you're a small site, you only have, a few of your articles are bringing in 40% of your traffic, and just one of them has dropped in the rankings. That can just easily change things overnight.
We've seen that happen several times where somebody says, yeah, I got a huge drop in traffic, even on a site that's been around longer. And when we go look at the analytics, that's really common. They'll say, well, I must have got hit by an algorithm update. But what we saw was one article drove almost all of that dip. And it was just somebody probably outranked them for that article.
Yeah. All right, we got another one here from AMP5919. Says, what are some of the best practices for accepting guest posts on your blog? We usually just don't at all. I can understand why it's really tempting to do it, and a lot of blogs do it very successfully. But the negatives that we have found that have outweighed the positives for us are like 90% of them. I accept the guest post, if it's somebody I know or seems like it's going to be okay. And then when I actually see the writing, it's like, I'm not a big fan of this. They almost always push a little too heavy their link for why they're writing the article. I don't want to do any paid guest posts because that puts me in hot water with Google. Usually guest posts, when I see the emails, I used to think free content, and now I think spam.
Yep.
But I know it's tempting when you have a new website.
Yep. I got a question here from Herbert GBR. Should I move my blog over from Blogger to WordPress? We've been asked lots of times, is it okay to start your website on Blogger? And in this case, he says, I have 10 posts on the website. My suggestion is move it now while it's small. Just do it. You're not going to have, first of all, you're going to have extremely limited functionality with Blogger, but also it's just never going to look professional. There's so much you can't do on a Blogger website. Move it to WordPress and be done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And American Accent Hacks echoes that and says that she moved from Blogger to WordPress and never looked back. All right, Jacob QS says, what would be a good sub-niche in film making? That's a good question. So I don't know that we want to dive into this one specifically, but I want to give you a couple parameters to look for when you're deciding how small of a niche to go into, and also some things to watch out for when you're deciding where to niche down or up that I think will be able to help you, and then it'll apply to everybody. So first of all, both of us like to go a little bit more broad with the domain name and tight with the content. So that's one thing that we're facing right now with dirtbikeplanet.com. It's a pretty solid niche. I mean, we could go much smaller. It could be just motocross or just enduro, etc. And the reason we usually don't want to go that tiny is because we always plan for our sites to go big eventually. I mean, if it's working, we want to be able to double down. And if you've niched down too tiny, you're fenced in. But even there, like now I'm kind of getting out of dirt bikes and I'm more into UTVs. And so now it's like, I wish I had done Off-Road Planet instead of Dirt Bike Planet. So, I mean, it's just a hard thing because the benefit of going tiny is when people are looking at the Google results, they're like, oh, perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. This is about dirt bikes. But it also walls you in. So it's just a hard thing to decide how big to go. And the ultimate question is, how big is your content going to go? And that's about how big as you want to make your name.
Yep. Rajiv Singhal asks, this will be a quick question. He says, basically, we said that on one of our websites we didn't build links, and is it really not necessary to build links to be able to rank on Google? Actually, Rajiv, on all of our sites, we don't build links. It's not necessary. Links from other websites help with your search rankings. They help. But building links deliberately is a dangerous game to play. And most people are more likely to damage their website than to help it. So just wanted to answer that one real quick. And then I've got another one real quick. Sorry, Jim. Shanto Floyd asked is it okay if keyword search volume is less than 1,000? Should you write the article? Yes, write the article. Keyword search volume for one of our top articles on Dirt Bike Planet is supposedly like less than 10 searches per month. And that article gets 5,000 organic page views every month. The keyword research tools that give you search volume are always wrong. Nobody has that data. Google has that data, and they don't share it with you. You may think they do, but they don't. They're pretty cryptic about it and keep it hidden. So don't trust those. We really like that most people are listening to those numbers because it keeps them from writing articles that do really, really well for us. So if you want to trust the tools, keep trusting them. But my recommendation is ignore that number completely.
And I know that's hard to accept when you're brand new, But once you have a website and you have some real data, like you have 100 different articles that are ranking number one on Google, and then you can compare Google Analytics, how much traffic is actually coming compared to what the tool says the search volume is, you'll just hang your head and just say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I even looked at that before. All right, Michael Norman said, is parenting a good niche to be in? We don't know, but we're about to find out. We have a website that our creator studio is working on right now. We've finished the keyword research, and they're most of the way done with the articles, actually. And it is in the parenting niche. It's our first one there. What I would say from doing the keyword research is a lot of it is competitive, but we found kind of a clever way to approach it from a little bit of an angle that I think is going to work. But we'll see what happens on it. And again, we're open with all of our domain names and we tell you everything. The brand new websites on our Creator Studio, we hold for 8 months before we announce them publicly. We do show them in Project 24. And the reason is we don't want a flood of YouTube traffic to make it look like we're doing better than we are. We want this to be a real example and actual numbers.
Yeah, and piece of advice there, just as Jim was saying, like with parenting, to come in at an angle, do something just a little bit different. Parenting, like new advice for parents with new babies, is extremely crowded.
Oh, it's tough.
And if you try to take that direct approach of trying to write the same content everybody else is writing, it's going to be really tough. You do need to find some sort of an angle, some sort of a different way, and that's going to be true for a lot of niches. So it's not just parenting. Taking kind of an indirect approach is just a really good way to go.
Dale Webster sent a super chat and says, when do you use sidebars and when not to? We still like sidebars. A lot of websites are moving away from sidebars because there's no sidebar on mobile, at least on anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the reason that we like sidebars still for the desktop version of our websites is because it's just a great place to put a sticky sidebar ad, and that can increase your income 15 to 20%,
right,
according to our ad broker, who's obviously tested this a lot. And so that's why we stick with the sidebar on our desktop versions of our site. We don't load up the sidebar with a whole bunch of stuff because very few people even pay attention to sidebars anymore. It's just a good place to put an ad and some legal text and things like that.
WordPress.com or WordPress.org? The answer is WordPress.org. WordPress.com is kind of like a step beyond Blogger, right? It's basically, they're hosting it for you. They're taking care of it for you.
Still locks you in.
It does. It totally locks you in. You have very limited functionality in terms of plugins and themes you can choose from. Whereas with WordPress.org, you're totally free to basically do whatever you want with your website.
Autism Some Assembly Required says, how long does it take to rank videos on YouTube? This is interesting. We should do multiple videos on what we've learned so far on YouTube, even though I still feel like we are really learning a lot.
Yep.
The most important thing that I have learned about YouTube, focusing on it for the last year, is don't think of it like a search engine. Don't think of it like ranking on Google, where when we're trying to rank on Google, we're thinking of what is the query, video to fit that query. And what we're finding on YouTube is to just throw it out the window for most of our videos and instead just make cool, interesting content in a niche, and then you just show up. So for example, I made a video called 73% of my articles are ranking number one on Google. Like, that doesn't really fit any query. It's not how to rank on Google or any specific, how long does it take to rank on Google. It's just cool stuff. And we find that just ranks really well because of all of the browse features on YouTube, the suggested videos in that little strip. So many of the views on YouTube are coming from suggested content that you don't have to just fit into a search query. If you just have cool content about a general niche, Google's going to show you up.
Yep. HandyQuey69 and stuck finding keywords. How do you find a topic to write about? Depending on your niche, this can get very easy or it can just be pretty tough. We really do exactly what we've shown in our YouTube videos. We will use Google's auto-suggest, and actually Bing is a little bit more liberal with their auto-suggest and showing you different things people are actually searching for. But seriously, go to the search bar and type in just a part of a search query. If your niche is, pet dogs, and you're thinking, what can I write about dogs? Just start, typing in how old do, and then maybe an asterisk, and then dogs, and then just see what Google gives you. Do the same thing with Bing. Just try, just thing after thing after thing. When you do that, what you're going to find is things that people are actually searching for, and then it starts out really, really slow. You may spend 10 minutes and not find a single topic, but then you're going to come across a few that are going to lead you down all sorts of different paths toward dozens and dozens of articles. And in an hour, you can, just doing that, end up with a hit list of 30, 50 articles if you just keep working at it.
That's exactly what we saw when we were working on it this week.
Yep.
All right, should we do one more question and then announce our winner?
Yeah, we probably should announce the winner. For those of you who are like, my question's not getting answered, we're going to save these questions, and we're going to try to get to as many of them as we can in some future YouTube videos, and we'll do some
and
lives
hopefully
in the
we'll
future.
come to a couple after this as well. All right,
sure.
Rachel Braithwaite says, you guys are the best. Aw, thanks.
Thank you.
Do you do internal link building on-page SEO? So yeah, we are really focused on on-page SEO. Like that's what we do for SEO, is really focusing on this. The internal link building is something that we have neglected too much. We are obviously doing internal link building, linking between our own articles wherever it makes sense and stuff. But we have not been intentional enough about it. So for example, I do the keyword research for an entire website. We send it to the Creator Studio, or we write the content ourselves. And what I'm realizing is sometimes people are, we have in our hit list an article to write that I think, it would be nice to link down to this pillar post, but that pillar post isn't written yet. And so what I need to do is get in the practice of writing all the content, then going back and doing that internal link tree so that they all link to the right pages. But when you're doing it in an organized way, starting your site like we recommend, it's a catch-22 because a lot of the cool content hasn't been written.
It's not there yet.
All right, here it is. So Ricky
right.
has gone through Excel, picked the winner randomly. Anyone who commented on any of our YouTube videos in 2018 up to December 1st has automatically been entered. You didn't have to do anything else. So your name may be in this. Tell us how it's going to work.
Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open this up. We are going to see who the winner is. We will be making every effort possible to contact the winner. And then we'll schedule a time. Depending on your personal situation, we may fly you here, or we may fly out to you. Well, we'll make schedules work. And we'll spend some time. Two full days is the plan to work with you on your website. And in fact, prior to that, what we'll do is we'll just get in some communication and figure out where you are with your website, where you are with your project, figure out what you need, and that way we can come with a game plan to work with you.
We're going to kick your site's butt.
All right, it is sealed. I really don't know who's in here. My wife did the final selection and put it in there. So, and even sealed the envelope. All right. Yes, Linda, this is very exciting. It's exciting for me too. I'm curious to see where we're going.
And the winner is
Carl Broadbent. Carl, you've been around a while. You've commented on a lot of our videos.
I have seen Carl Broadbent comments before.
Carl Broadbent, I don't remember what video this was from. I made a note of that somewhere. He asked, are you going to share any more success stories from Project 24? They're really encouraging. Carl, it's a great question. Yes. As time goes on, we will continue to share success stories and probably do some YouTube interviews whenever we can. But more importantly, Carl, you just won 2 days working with Jim and myself. We'll schedule some time and...
Where is he from? That's what I want to know.
Based on comments he's made in the past, I think Carl's from the UK.
Oh.
So
I have a problem with that because I have some unpaid speeding tickets in Italy. But the whole Brexit thing, maybe I'm good.
yeah, I think you're good. If those are in Italy, I think you're good.
I'm good. Because I just decided when they came in, it was in a different language. I didn't know how to pay it. So I was like, whatever, I'm just not going back to Italy. And then I thought the whole EU thing, I don't know. You're driving either way.
I'll drive.
All right. Well, we want to take just a couple more questions before we wrap up here. And we've had some great ones come in here. Let me take a second to find them, though.
Here's one. Does domain authority matter for Google ranking? If sites have domain authority of 40 or 50, can I outrank them with a new site? Domain authority does help with the speed of ranking. And by domain authority, I'm just talking about just how much credibility you've really earned with Google. I don't know how well the different tools actually measure this. I haven't done a study on their numbers, but yes, when you have an established website that has credible content that's ranking really well for some articles, we do find that our articles rank in a much shorter time period than sort of that 35-week time frame that we normally talk about with new sites.
Sahil Jalandhara says, what do you think about WordPress 5 with Gutenberg? I love Gutenberg. I hate that it's been ripped so much in the media lately because it's essential that this happens to WordPress. I don't want the platform for all my websites to grow stale. And when you go to something like a Squarespace, their editor is just far superior to what happens in stock WordPress. So I'm really glad to see this happen. Plugin developers have known about this for a long time, over a year to become compatible with it. When I hear about bugs, I say, yeah, but it's still a beta. That's what happens in a beta. It's bugs, and they haven't released the final version. And when I see plugin compatibility, I say, yeah, but the developer knew about this a long time ago. That's not exactly WordPress's fault.
Yep.
Is social media share buttons, adding them, okay with Google's terms? Sure. Simu says, can hiring cheap writers help with writing the content? We are testing that.
Yep.
Ricky just
Actually,
ordered
right
this
now.
week. Yeah.
We'll have an article or a video coming out pretty soon. I don't know exactly when the video will come out, but yeah, this is going to be a really fun video.
Yep.
But yes, we tested our Creator Studio and 3 other writing services to see basically what the content looks like.
And we're going to show it to you. We're making a new site so that we can show it publicly.
Yeah,
and we're going to show you, like, these are the 5 from Text Broker. These are the 5 that our writers wrote, etc. And you can just compare and see if you think the writing's good. Then great, go with them. Absolutely. All right.
Hey, JP in Fuerteventura says, it's my pizza day today.
Hey, well done.
Congratulations, JP.
That's awesome. That's a huge accomplishment. How many affiliate links is too many for a blog post? There's no number. There really isn't. But I will say that Google treats affiliate links as if they were ads. And so when you have an article with 30 affiliate links throughout the post, Google says, yeah, mostly this is an ad, and can rank you accordingly. That said, I have had plenty of articles where it's like 21 top tools for this or that, where it does have a lot of affiliate links and they still ranked. So there's really no number, but a few really well sold, well placed affiliate links is worth way more than volume of affiliate links.
Flannel Guy DIY says he changed his hosting and immediately after his ranks dropped. Any experience with this, and how long does it take Google to recognize a new server location? We have changed hosting providers on many websites various times. I've never seen it impact traffic. There's something else going on.
Yeah, something's wrong. It really should have no impact. Even when we've gone from a faster host to a slightly slower host, it's fine. Didn't change anything. So something else is going on here. That shouldn't impact anything. Do you guys ever use the buy this on Amazon buttons, or do you only use text links? We only use text links. Having said that, we did have a discussion in here last week about finding some ways that it could make sense to integrate them. we were looking at some competition, and we found a couple designs that like didn't offend me. Like it actually looked kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I'm open to the possibility if we can get the design just right. But for now, just the text links just look more authentic.
The problem is most of the time the plugins that do the buttons and stuff, or even just pulling them straight from Amazon, it looks like an ad. People see it and they think of it like an ad. It makes the article feel kind of spammy and like you're just trying to sell them something. And the text links are just much more, the in-content text links to Amazon are just more genuine. That said, if you have like a page where you're recommending products and it's very obvious, like I want to show you the products I recommend, and you have a really nice design that shows like, here are the pros and cons of this one, and here's the pros and cons of that one. There may be a way that it actually really works, and so we'll test that a little bit more.
Theodore Chunkerton III says, is blog commenting a waste of time? Yes, it is. Arif Farouk says, is it really impossible to create something like Tech Radar, Gadgets Now, etc.? Of course it's not impossible. I mean, that's how they did it, and just because they did it before doesn't mean it can't be done now. Every day there are brand new websites being created who are going to become the industry standard in the industry they're in. Now, is that the easiest, quickest path to success? No. That's like, jumping from, you're a brand new football player and you're jumping straight into the NFL. That's hard. You're jumping into the big leagues here. You're going to compete with some of the most powerful websites and teams of writers on different things. Can it be done? Yes, absolutely it can be done. But you better get ready for the game because this is going to be competitive.
Yeah, and something you said there just really stands out. It's you're competing against teams of writers. What I would do is I would start with exactly like the niche website that we're talking about, something you can build yourself first. And I would build up your income and build up your experience with that. Get really good at writing. Get really good at identifying what is really good content. And if down the road you want to reinvest in your business and end up with a team of writers, your potential to be able to compete in a space and become an industry standard in your space just increases dramatically.
Yeah, the way you're going to succeed is you become a keyword research master.
Yep.
You be good at it. You're going to have to spend a lot of time finding these underserved queries that you can actually rank for. And 2, you better become a YouTube master, because that's a great way to drive traffic and still very underserved. We had a little security issue at my house in the last week. I haven't told you about this yet. It was over the weekend. And so I was looking at home security options, and the reviews were terrible. It was really hard to find reviews of these $500 products, for home security systems. I think that's absolutely a great place to go. Another super chat. Vladan Ubariparip says, sorry about that, best ads company for 15 to 20,000 monthly views.
A couple of comments, or John Moore just answered this with the same answer I'd give. I've tried a couple. Ezoic has been really good at that level. They want you to have at least 10,000 monthly page views. If you're at that level, I've only tested them on one site, but I'm seeing a similar payout to like AdThrive. But I get a much better ad experience overall with AdThrive. Mm-hmm. They're a fantastic company. Mediavine's been a good company to work with, but both of those are going to require much more in terms of page views. And so in those early days when you hit about 10,000, Ezoic has actually been really good on the payout side.
Great. Alwayne Gray is asking if we're going to continue working on our security niche site. We have always called that a fail, and we looked back at it last week and we said, I'm not so sure it's a fail. It's just too small. I think we need to continue on it.
Yeah, we actually talked about this like a week ago or so. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to add a whole batch of fresh content to that one. I actually have always wanted to go back to it. Building up home security around my house, like substantial home security, is something that I want to do and play with, and it's fun. Home security and home automation, I think that's fun stuff. So it'll be a fun one to come back to, and it has a lot of potential for success. Even with the little bit of content that it has on it, the income's actually been slowly just going up over time. 10, 11 articles, I think, is all that it has. It's making $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we haven't shut it down. It pays for itself.
Yeah. Gavin Hendricks, no, where are you? David B says that he's started marathon training. Do you think it's possible to break into this area? The answer to this question is always yes. Can you break in? Question is how hard it's going to be. I always try to differentiate that because I think sometimes we're just too scared of competition.
Yes.
And every niche has competition. The problem with marathons, and I finished a marathon. There's a little ribbon. Oh yeah, you can see it right there.
I only ever did a half. So
yeah. So I considered a website for that niche, and the problem that I found is there just aren't that many questions to ask with running. You can do reviews of shoes and stuff, but like running is pretty simple, and so there are 20 or 30 questions I could probably think of about preparing for a marathon, but that's very few questions and a lot of people going after them, and so it's just I couldn't find a great set of keywords to break in.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I want to get to Sahil's question. He's asked it a whole bunch of times. Is AdWords worth it to speed up the process? No. In my experience, I wouldn't go with like a paid ad campaign until you have like an actual product, your own product. Mm-hmm. If you end up having to pay 50 cents per customer that comes to your website and clicks on a product that gets you a 25-cent commission, you're losing money. And that's what we see happen for the most part, when you try to use AdWords on a pretty passive site.
All right, new nail tech success sent in a super chat. Should I write articles found in Facebook groups but are not being asked on Google? Okay, so this is hard. So we always go with the Google alphabet soup method for keyword research. It is what has given us the very best results overall. So, but then you go to forums, go to Facebook, etc., and you see these other questions and you wonder, should I write it? Well, the real question is, does it have search volume? And there's just no way to know without just using a little bit of your intuition, and then just maybe you just want to test it and write it.
Yeah.
But I would say that it is very dangerous when you're doing your hit list if you have a huge chunk of your articles that you just think have a search volume, but we haven't verified that with Google Autosuggest. If it's showing up in Google Autosuggest, there is search volume. If it's somewhere else, you've got to kind of make a call, and that's risky. If
you type in that question and you have to get through like 3/4 of the last word before Google Autosuggests it, chances are the search volume is extremely low. But again, you just can't know the number unless you do it. If you're in a position where you can spend some time testing that, then just write it. But I wouldn't write 80% of the content for your website from those kind of topics. You're just going to probably spin your wheels there.
Yeah, I agree. You guys, I wish we could get to all your questions in this video, but we are going to go through and grab as many of the questions we can, and we're going to do a separate video coming up with just those questions that have been asked that we weren't able to get to. We don't want this to go on forever and ever, but we do want to get to as many of your questions as possible. So congratulations to Carl Broadbent for winning our contest this year, and seriously, thank you guys. For all your support, your questions, for going after something like this and building your own website. We have absolutely loved running Income School, and we will continue to do so for you in 2019. Thanks everybody for your support, and we will see you in the next video.